Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today, I wasn't planning on doing something else, but we got this today. Unknown Worlds, the developer studio, is now actually suing the three ousted founders for allegedly downloading confidential files and also abandoning the game. So we're going to go through this. Now, I did make a previous video talking about Krafton's response to the lawsuit that the three founders had against Krafton for letting them go early, basically, and wanting to delay the game so that it wasn't, so that they didn't have to pay out, Krafton didn't have to pay out another $250 million. And if you're interested in that video, this provides context for what I'm going to talk about here. So I suggest that you go ahead and watch that video. But hey, if you don't want to, no sweat. But hey, let's go ahead and dive right in this. So Unknown Worlds is suing its former leaders, and this is separate from the lawsuit, again, between the three leads and Krafton. This is now the studio officially suing the three leads, and here it is right here in transcribed. So yeah, we'll go through this in just a second, but I wanted to get through this first. Suing the former leaders for allegedly abandoning their fiduciary duties and downloading and keeping confidential company information. Game developer by Krafton Public Relations Teams claims former Unknown Worlds execs Charlie Cleveland, Max McGuire, and Todd Gill became disinterested in developing Subnautica 2 and chose to stop working on the game, also accusing them of downloading over 170,000 confidential company files before their employment was terminated. Allegations sound familiar because they chime the claims made by Krafton and Krafton's response to the lawsuit by Cleveland, McGuire, and Gill. And again, we went over that in the previous video. Unknown Worlds claims Cleveland, McGuire, and Gill downloaded substantial volumes of undisclosed confidential company information on their way out the door. McGuire and Cleveland grew more active in the week before their threatened termination, so they knew that they were going to be fired, or most likely. McGuire downloaded almost 100,000 company files in the days leading up to his termination, and Cleveland downloaded around 72,000 company files. Cleveland was stopped in the middle of his activity. His last download from the company system occurred just 8 minutes before the company terminated his system access. Let's see, Unknown World said that those downloads of nearly every type, including business records, intellectual property, internal communication, Subnautica concepts, game design files, and other items that were redacted in the public version of the lawsuit. So yeah, they had information that wasn't supposed to be out there. And maybe they were going to use it to, swing their lawsuit against Krafton. I don't know, but I'm not even sure if they obtained that stuff illegally. I don't even know if they can legally use that in court now. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Cleveland was the first to stray. He was gradually becoming disengaged in 2022. The lead developer, supposedly to be led by Cleveland, openly complained, "I haven't been able to get much time with Charlie lately." So this is the lead developer of Subnautica 2, and this was supposed to be Cleveland actually doing this guy's job, but someone else had to take over, and the lead developer complained that he couldn't talk with Charlie Cleveland, that he couldn't hear what he thought or even understand really what he wanted to hear. He was just kind of checked out. In 2023, Cleveland announced to friends and some colleagues that he was leaving video game development to learn how to produce movies. He later changed his LinkedIn profile to, quote, part-time, and by 2024, he abandoned all creative and other leadership roles within the company. So basically, toward the beginning of 2024. That's horrible. Unknown Worlds then alleges that McGuire became buried in his passion project, Moonbreaker, which even after the turn-based strategy title, also developed by Unknown Worlds and published by Krafton, unfortunately, it had been deemed a commercial failure. So they're alleging that McGuire was focused on actually making a movie for Moonbreaker. That's what it sounded like. Or maybe was still working on the game, but everything points to him actually making a movie. Eventually, he too abandoned any pretense of technical involvement in Subnautica 2. Gill, who assumed the role of CEO of Unknown Worlds, was fully aware of the situation and did nothing. Unknown Worlds asserts that Gill could not overcome the complete abdication. Sorry, words are hard. of Subnautica 2 creative and technical leadership team, causing development to stall. So what they're saying here is that, and I had to look this up too, failure to fulfill a responsibility or duty. So he had to take over all of the roles. There were basically 3 roles at the top, which is why they had 3 people at the top of Unknown Worlds, and Gil was taking over all 3 of them. We already talked about that in our previous video. Unknown Worlds claims all 3 former leaders pushed Subnautica 2 to be released before it was ready in pursuit of that systemic earnout. Because again, if they could basically get enough revenue through the door within a certain time frame, Krafton had agreed during the deal of buying Unknown Worlds and Subnautica 2 for $500 million. They agreed to pay another $250 million, which again would most of it would go directly to the 3 creative leads, including the founder of the studio. Unknown Worlds had requested the court prevent Cleveland, McGuire, and Gill from disclosing its trade secrets, using that information to benefit themselves or a third party, right? Like probably using it in a lawsuit. The studio also demands that the confidential information be returned. Again, almost 170K confidential documents. In addition, the company is seeking damages for wrongful conduct proved at trial alongside its attorney fees, costs, and expenses, as well as pre- and post-judgment interest. And so I don't think they're looking at settling out of court because clearly states that they want to prove it at trial, and they believe that they can. Because again, you don't go to trial and actually file and take someone to court unless you think you can win. So yeah, this is a really big deal. And then wants to be awarded all rights, title, and interest in any intellectual property developed by Cleveland, McGuire, and Gill during their employment at Unknown Worlds, including all movie scripts, movie footage, game design, game code, playtests, and other software development. So they literally want everything that these guys have created for while they've been at Unknown Worlds. And I'm assuming that that includes everything even before they got bought by Krafton. Now, is Krafton suing these guys? Well, technically, it's Unknown Worlds, but, you know, a subsidiary can sue on its own behalf, apparently, as it is a separate legal entity from its parent. However, the parent company may be held liable for the subsidiary's actions if certain conditions are met, such as the corporate veil being pierced. This means that the parent company's conduct or policies may have created a situation where the subsidiary is not truly independent, but rather a facade for the parent. So I don't know which is which. I'm going to let you guys make that own judgment call. But it is possible that Krafton could be like kind of pulling the strings a little bit. But again, this technically is Unknown Worlds suing the 3 leads for what they were doing at the company during their employment, even right up until like the last 8 minutes of company access by taking files that are not theirs. And again, like the 3 probably think that, you know, Subnautica is theirs. But unfortunately, it belongs to Unknown Worlds. It's not theirs anymore. And ultimately, too, it's owned by Krafton. So again, all of this is here. This is the, let's see, this is page 8. Yeah, all of the lawsuit is here. If you actually want to read this, I will do my best to remember to link this down below. Again, you can find this at Scribd. I love this website. It's got so many good stuff. And it's got a ton of documents you can look. But yeah, this is Unknown Worlds, the plaintiff versus Charles Cleveland, Adam McGuire, and Edward Gill as the defendants. So they're going to be very, very busy people as they have their own lawsuit to deal with that they started against Krafton. And so Krafton is going to be a part of that. And then Unknown Worlds, the developer, is now suing the 3 leads that are no longer working at the studio. There was something else I wanted to add here. And again, all of this has to be proven in court and all of that jazz. But man, this is pretty mother-frickin' damning, if I do say so myself. Let's see. While ignoring the duties to the company and their fans, the key employees, which are the three founders, nonetheless found time to focus on their own self-interest, namely to strategize over their potential earning payout under the EPA. That's the $250 million if they can get the game out on time. Conversations about the earnout started immediately, and the key employees and other potential beneficiaries, because it also included some other devs within the company, concerned that development and release window did not map to the revenue they needed to maximize their income. But never fear, one developer wrote to McGuire, I do think Ted will concoct a scheme to get us that earnout. And concoct a scheme the key employees ultimately did. Having previously allowed the development schedule of Subnautica 2 to erode with the earnout window closing, the key employees realized that the pre-order demand and franchise value of Subnautica 2 presented their best opportunity to spike short-term sales, even if it meant harming the franchise long-term. Driven by self-interest and contrary to the best interests of Unknown Worlds, the key employees resolved to push whatever they could under the Subnautica 2 name on a timeline that didn't, quote, tank the earnout opportunity. Again, because they want an additional $250 million. So they pushed to release Subnautica 2 before the earnout period expired, and they did not even they did so even amidst internal and playtest feedback that the game was blank and likely to blank. Company's interests and key employees' personal interests collided in late spring of 2025, in late May, and then again early in June 2025. The key employees met with the company's owners and game's intended publisher, Krafton, to discuss Subnautica 2 release. The key employees were aware that the current development fell short of the company's internally set expectations for the early access release. Expectations created and proved long before, in part, by the key employees themselves. So again, they had an entire roadmap of what was supposed to happen and what was supposed to be there for the early access. And again, they weren't even close to that. And this is before these employees really got too involved with that. Nonetheless, at those meetings, key employees demanded that not yet ready game be released at once. When Krafton refused to publish the game before it was ready, the key employees openly threatened Krafton with litigation, expressly demanding and prioritizing a release date for Subnautica 2 that would allow them to capture blank of Subnautica 2 revenue toward the earnout targets. Put simply, the key employees announced their priorities. They demanded the earnout, not early access release, that would best entice the gaming community into the Subnautica 2 world. Personally, not company, goals were the priority for the key employees. And again, Unknown Worlds, they got to hear these conversations. They got to see what the top three dudes were doing during the years that they worked there after Krafton bought them. And this is why they're suing them, because they believe that they can prove that these three were going after the money and not for the development of the game or for the fans of the Subnautica franchise. And that's really sad and depressing. And so we'll have to see what happens, because again, this is going to take probably a long time to actually go through everything, especially with now 2 lawsuits being involved with all 3 parties, the studio, the publisher, and the 3 leads. So yeah, this is going to be a mess. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I will keep up with this story. But man, I was just thinking too, that's like, sometimes we think that we know people, but that's not always the case. And it's never good to put companies or to put people on a pedestal, because yeah, people will surprise you when there's a ton of money involved. And I've seen it personally in my own life, and I've heard it also through case-by-case basis through other friends and family members. And it is shocking. And again, all of this has to be proved. But yeah, this is just looking worse and worse for the 3 studio heads. And, it's okay to believe that the 3 studio heads have the best intentions, that they love their game. And again, it's going to come down to what can be proven in court. But yeah, this isn't looking good. And this definitely just makes things worse. And it's sad. It's sad. Like, I want the game to come out. I want the community, too, of Subnautica that I'm a part of to be able to enjoy Subnautica 2 and the co-op and the multiplayer. And, hey, that all sounds great and wonderful. But yeah, there's something really, really wrong here. And ultimately, you got to blame the people that are at the top leading the whole thing. And those are the three key employees. Those are the three guys that were supposed to be doing their job. And again, if they can prove that they were checked out, that they were stealing company information and all of that, man, that's really, really damning. So thanks for tuning in, folks. You can always follow me at Gaming Garbage 22 over at YouTube. Don't forget, too, we have a playlist and there's other stuff that we do on the channel. And if something isn't for you, no sweat. Just wait for the next video. There's various content that gets released every single week. Also, too, you can follow me over at Twitch if you'd like, and when I play video games, I'll certainly chat with you guys in the chat. But things have been busy. My third child is on their way. They should be coming very, very soon. And then, too, there's just been a lot of overtime at my real job that I have. Because, yeah, I do this for fun, guys. And I actually really love doing this because of you and the engagement that you guys give me. So it's just fun. I like talking about video games and keeping up with stuff. So, but yeah, what do you guys think of all this? Again, because man, this is really, it's just getting worse. It's not looking better. And through the whole court thing and through the process, I'll keep up with what's going on over the years, probably, that these are going to take, these two lawsuits. And I'll keep you guys up to date. So with that, folks, we'll see you guys on the next one.